Yeah, I guess I worked to the wrong side of the table on it, except for hands. Okay, welcome back, everyone. It is 7:15 p.m. on Monday, June 22nd, and 2026, and we are going to call to order this regular meeting of, nope, excuse me, I guess special additional meeting. I guess it's just not the first one of the month. But yeah, this meeting of the Philomath City Council. Just as a heads up, we'll start with a roll call in just a second. I'm then going to move public comment up before our public hearings, just because we have someone registered for public comment. Thus far, I don't have anyone registered for the public hearings. And then we will have public hearings on the 25-26 supplemental budget, the 26-27 tax rate, the 26-27 state shared revenues, the 26-27 city budget. And then we will have new business, including the lease agreement amendment with Philomath Frolic and Rodeo Incorporated. And then we're going to add an item of new business, D2, which will be the transit contract with Corvallis Amendment number 2, which was distributed before the meeting. After which we will move on to ordinances and resolutions. We have an ordinance 894 Ramsey Alley vacation, resolution 26-20, ratifying our collective bargaining agreement with AFSCME Local 3543, Council 75, and Resolution 2621, adoption of non-represented and management position pay schedules in COLA. So we have a lot to vote on this evening. But before we get started, I wanted to just recognize that we lost a really important member of our community about a week ago. Dale Collins passed on June 14th, and he was obviously a city councilor and a former mayor, as well as many other roles in the community, including president of the Chamber of Commerce. He was with the Lions Club for a very long time. He won the First Citizen Award and the Senior First Citizen Award, and he was on our Parks Advisory Board for a while, and was really important to the parks in Philomath, including Dale Collins Park. But most importantly, he also served as the honorary mayor of Safety Town. And I want to recognize Dale, who really exemplified Philomath's spirit as the city of volunteers, both in his official capacities as well as beyond those, just in the way he lived his life and served Philomath. So we'll do a moment of silence, but before that, I know there's a couple other folks that wanted to say a word, and then we'll do public comment before the moment of silence, because the public comment is related to that. And we'll do a roll call on that note.
Teresa Nielsen.
Here.
Jessica Andrade.
Present.
Diane Crocker.
Here.
Mr. Irwin.
Present.
Rick Eastman.
Present.
Rich Salsa.
Present.
Oh, Christopher McMorrin.
Present.
Oh.
Okay, Chris, did you want to share some words?
Yeah, just quickly, I appreciate Brad Fuqua putting the obituary in the Philomath News. I was out of town over the weekend, so I didn't see it till I got back and saw it in the Philomath News when I was getting my updates. And I'm just going to read what I wrote so I can keep my emotions in check, maybe. I just wrote, Dale Collins embodied the city of volunteers, a tagline given to Philomath that I imagine he had something to do with. He served as mayor and on various committees, as noted above, and he was also an active Lions Club member, a loyal friend, and a constant force for good in our community. Among his many contributions, I attribute the success of Music in the Park Summer Concert Series and the Downtown Flower Basket program to his legacy. I will always remember his witty sense of humor, the way his face lit up when he talked about Mary Jo and his daughters, and the twinkle in his eye when he thought he'd pulled one over on me. We lost a great man, a true Philomath warrior this week, and I will miss my friend. Dale Collins really was inspirational to a lot of people in town. He was one of the first people when I started this job to come in that wasn't like on the council or whatever, but he was one of the first ones to come in and everybody kind of rolls their eyes. Here comes Dale. What's he want? You know, and but he came in, and what he wanted was always something good, right? He wanted help with public works for one of the parks, or something to get picked up, or the street sweeper had missed something. He was always on top of it and always wanting to do good in town. I loved waving to him and Mary Jo as they were on their walks in the mornings. And just really feel like it's a big loss there. There'll be a hole there that won't be filled probably ever. As you know, we're replacing the reader board at Dale Collins Park, and we will do some type of a ribbon cutting when that's done. And we're looking to find a special way to pay a tribute to Dale at that time as well, possibly renaming the park or something in line with his legacy. So anyway, just wanted to provide those comments, and I know everybody had their run-ins with Dale, and I hope that you have fond memories of him and that those will last.
With that, I will open public comment, and we have one person signed up for public comment. If Eric Neiman would like to come up and join us and share your comments. And we generally keep these to 3 minutes, but
Thanks for having me.
I think that, yeah, I imagine the council would be okay going a little over that.
Thanks everyone for having me this evening. I'm also here to make a tribute to former Mayor Dale Collins, who passed away last week on June 14th. Dale was a community treasure, right, who gave the city of Volunteers its namesake, right, and he was 81 years old. Dale moved to Philomath with his wife, Mary Jo, and his 2 daughters back in 1972. He set up an insurance business on Main Street and looked for ways to make Philomath better. His name was on the ballot for city council in 1976 during the nation's bicentennial. He was on the same ballot as Jimmy Carter. And after serving on council for 2 years, he ran for mayor and was elected in 1978 and ran again in 1980 and served till 1982. So did a lot of good things for the city. Some key accomplishments that I'll highlight here was that he passed the city's first comprehensive plan that defined the urban growth boundary that we still use to this day. He led the council to hire the Philomath's first city manager there some time back, and recognized the value of having a city manager here amongst volunteers. He organized a spaghetti feed to fund Philomath's first stoplight on 19th Street. So that was the very first, right across from Dairy Queen there on 19th Street was the very first stoplight. He advocated for construction of Philomath's water plant so we wouldn't be so dependent on the Corvallis intertie. And later he spent a decade serving as a volunteer with the Philomath Fire Department, Philomath Fire and Rescue, and served there. After Dale left public office, he remained extremely active, as the mayor mentioned earlier, with the Lions Club, watering flower baskets, serving as the MC for the Philomath Frolic Parade for 20 years. He wore an elf hat and put up holiday decorations all around town. He was an active member of Philomath's Downtown Association and the Chamber of Commerce, both. Participated in countless ribbon cuttings, both of local businesses and parks. Cleaned up weeds and trash in traffic medians around town, to include the one that has his name on it. And cooked up pancakes at the Frolic Lions Club breakfast there every year. So he served as the chair of the Philomath Park Advisory Board, as the city manager pointed out, and was awarded both First Citizen and Senior First Citizen, as the mayor mentioned. He also won the Melvin Jones Award in 2006 from the Philomath Lions Club. That's right. And in 2019, I had the honor of awarding him the Volunteer of the Year Award for Lynn Benton in Lincoln County through the Oregon Cascade West Council of Governments. And in 2022, he was very appropriately named the Grand Marshal of the Philomath Frolic Parade. So, and I don't know, there's some poetry that he passed away on Flag Day of all days. But treasure, and I think I encourage all of you to treasure the collective memories of him and not forget him. So, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. We got one additional public comment request from Brad Fuqua.
I don't usually talk, I just write, but I'll speak. Dale was, he reminded me of my dad a lot. I interviewed him many times. I'm just going to read a few paragraphs from a story I wrote. I interviewed him. It's from 2015. It was my second month on the job with Philomath Express, and I sat in his kitchen with him, thumbing through a scrapbook with photos and other memorabilia from 4 decades of public service in Philomath. Dale Collins cracks several smiles while recalling old friends, neighbors, and the good old days. Now 70, Collins isn't currently getting around too well as he recovers from back surgery. Quote, I call it old farts syndrome. But don't expect the former mayor to ever slow down. His wife of 50 years, Mary Jo, says that on occasion he needs to be hogtied to get him to ease up. As long as I can do it, I feel good when I'm doing it, Collins said when asked if he plans to continue volunteering. I get cabin fever pretty easily, and if I can get out and just do something for a half hour, she slows me down quite a bit now. A short talk with Collins reveals the fact that he's a straight shooter and doesn't mind sharing his opinions on an issue. As a former public servant in city government, Collins had experienced both the highs and the lows while working through the community's growing pains in the late 70s and early 80s. Quote, when we first came through this town going to the coast, our comments were, who would want to live in this dirty little town like this? Who would want to live in a dirty little town like this? Collins said. My objective on it never was to change what people had done, but to make it better. And that was even a battle trying to make things better. And I'll stop there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was very well done.
Well, thank you to everyone who spoke. I'd like to observe a brief moment of silence in recognition of Dale and everything he's done for our community. Okay. Well, thank you all very much, and Dale, you will be very missed. But I hope we all take that spirit forward and live our lives in honor of his volunteerism and his desire to make Philomath a better place. With that, we can move into our public hearings for the evening, starting with a public hearing, which I am now opening for the fiscal year 2025-2026 supplemental budget at 7:29 p.m. This public hearing will be for the purposes of reviewing and accepting any testimony on the supplemental budget, and then we will close the hearing and have deliberations and a decision by the council. Are there any members who need to disclose ex parte contacts, bias, or conflicts of interest? Seeing none, then staff, would you like to give us a brief overview of the budget?
Mr. Mayor, in front of the council tonight is resolution.
She had a question, but she can wait till you're done. Yeah. No, you're good. I didn't see her.
Okay. Resolution 2616, which approves the final 25-26 fiscal year supplemental budget, makes appropriation and total requirements. Council, or the adjustments are for various departments, funds as recommended by city staff. Attachment 2, which starts on page 5, shows the details on how the allocations or the changes will be made. Give you a quick overview. General fund, we're gonna, we're gonna use 772,000 contingency to cover extra recording fees within the city manager's budget of 40,000, 22,000, and to cover overtime, unanticipated overtime in the police department due to past due FSLA issues from the past, and 10,000. And the council's budget, I believe that is, I forgot to put the department. That's gonna be for the LED sign for Dale Collins Park. The project itself is $20,000, so we're gonna also recognize 10,000 in revenue. So the net effect on the general fund will increase $10,000. We'll go from $5,482,351 to $5,492,351. The second budget, our second fund to be changed is SDCs, or System Development Charges for governmental funds. It's gonna increase the beginning fund balance. That's the budget we did not do. I don't really do budget increases for beginning fund balances, but this one is needed because of the North 11th and 12th Street construction. The beginning fund balance came in higher than anticipated, so 771,411 will be added to the budget. 625 will be used for the construction going over between Main and Applegate. The remainder of, it'd be 146,411 will be moved to contingency, so that'll just move forward to next year. The total expenditure increase there will go from 350,000 for expenditures to 1,121,411. Overall, the total budget will increase from 32,170,494 to 35,951,905. And there's a motion on page 2. Staff is recommending adoption as. Questions?
Thank you very much. Councilor Andrade, did you have a question?
I wanted a refresher on an ex parte contact relating to the budget, as opposed to land use.
Yeah,
or-
I don't really, the script in here was for land use, so I don't really think there is ex parte contact for budget. It's more just if you have a conflict of interest.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I was like, wait, hold on, let me think a little.
Yeah, that's a good question. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding the increase beginning fund balance for 771. Where is that coming from?
Last year, well, the budget we have, and I didn't write down the number of the beginning fund balance. Yeah, but hang on. So we started the year in that fund with the beginning fund balance of 1,101,001.
Okay,
And when we finished our audit last year, the ending balance, which is beginning balance,
yeah.
was 1.872. So that's where the difference.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
So
we underspend kind of from what we projected.
last year, right.
Yes.
It's rolling into
Gotcha.
So that's why we're adjusting it to that. And so that's how that transpired. It's there.
So it's just sort of, is it just coincidental that it's similar to the amount of money we're spending on 11th and 12th Street? Or is that because we didn't spend that the year before?
We're able to spend the money on 11th and 12th Street because we had the extra money coming in.
Hold it up. Okay. Thank you.
But if you'll remember, we brought this to the council, the bid for 11th, 12th Street was significantly higher than we had originally anticipated, but because the SDC revenue, we didn't do some projects last year, those rolled over, and so we had the additional street funding to do that. We explained to the council that time that we'd have to do a supplemental budget to show that increase and to be able to show that we have the money there to do the project. And so we're just making that correction.
Yeah. That makes sense. I just want to make sure I was tracking where that was coming from. Okay. Any other questions on this? Is there a motion? Councilor Salsa?
I move to.
Yes, wait, pause, time out. Is there any public testimony? Seeing none, are there any other questions for the council? Seeing none, I am closing the public hearing at 7:35 PM. And now I'm happy to entertain any discussions or motions. Yes, Counselor Salsa. Thank you, Crystal.
I move to approve resolution 26-16 and exhibit A, adopting a supplemental budget for fiscal year 2025-26 and making appropriation increases and changes for fiscal year 2025 and 26.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay. Counselor Salsa moved and Counselor Caseman seconded to approve resolution 26.16 and exhibit A. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? And resolution 26.16 is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Next up, we will have our next public hearing. So I'm opening a public hearing on fiscal year 2026-2027 taxes at 7:36 PM for the purpose of reviewing our tax rate and accepting any testimony from the public. Is there any conflicts of interest? Seeing none, then Mike, anything you'd like to walk us through on this?
Yeah, just a quick overview. Council, in front of you, resolution 2617, which is imposes and categorizes the ad valorem taxes for the 26-27 year. Budget Review Committee approved the budget June 10th, and they approved a budget or a tax rate of 5.3005 per $1,000 of assessed value. There's a motion on page 9, and staff is recommended as presented.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone for public testimony? Seeing none, are there any questions from the council for staff? Councilor Crocker?
My understanding or my recollection is that we've had this assessed valuation for quite some time. Do you have any idea how long?
1995 or 6, one or the other.
So,
It's been around quite a while.
thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, then I will close the public hearing on 2026-2027 taxes at 7:38 PM. And we can now move into deliberation or motions. Any deliberation? Counselor Salsa.
Resolution 26-17, imposing and categorizing ad valorem taxes for the city of Columbus for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027 at a rate of $5.3005 per $1,000 of assessed valuation.
And there's a second from Counselor Crocker. So it's been moved by Counselor Salsa and seconded by Counselor Crocker to adopt resolution 26-17. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye. And resolution 26-17 is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Next up, I will open a public hearing on our fiscal year 2026-2027 state shared revenues at 7:39 PM. This is for the purpose of accepting our state shared revenues from the taxes listed here that the state collects and distributes out to cities based on population, as well as hearing from any testimony from the public. Is there any conflicts of interest that anyone would like to declare? Seeing none, then Mike, anything you'd like to add on this one?
Just another quick overview, I hope. They're never quick overviews. For this particular item, state revenue sharing law, we have to have 2 hearings. The Budget Review Committee had one at their very first meeting, which was May 13th. Council's second meeting tonight is the other requirement. the listing of the taxes that we received are on page 11, and a motion is on page 12, and we're recommending adopting as presented.
Thank you very much. I don't see anyone here for public comment. Is there anyone with testimony? Okay. Seeing no one here for public testimony, are there any questions from the council? I don't know if you have this offhand or even just a general idea. I apologize I didn't send this in earlier. Do you know just the total amount, how it compares to previous years? Because I know it's been going down a little bit.
It is, I know, it's in the book. We do have them segregated.
Sure, and yeah, thank you. Sorry, I should have.
Yeah, it's not, it should be right here. Landed. We're projecting roughly 100, what are the numbers here? 148,000 for the general fund. Last year, it was probably just about $6,000 more. It's going down. I mean, the only thing that's really steady is the liquor tax.
Okay.
Everything else is kind of going down. Cigarette tax is going down. State revenue sharing is the biggest, another one's going down. They're starting to find other ways to use the money. And of course, we're the ones that get left out. So I mean, it's about a $10,000 drop from last year. So.
Okay. And the gas tax isn't going down though, right? It's kind of steady.
That's pretty steady.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for staff?
Gas prices are going up.
That's true.
The gas tax is pretty thick.
And let it be known, the gas prices are going up and the gas tax is not. Yes. Okay. Seeing no other questions from the council, I'm closing the public hearing on state shared revenues at 7:42 p.m. And now we can have any deliberations or motions from the council.
I'm gonna give Rich a break.
Yes, Councilor Caseman, please.
I move to adopt Resolution 26-18, declaring the city's election to receive state shared revenues pursuant to ORS 221.770 for the fiscal year 2026 through 27.
Thank you very much. Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Caseman, seconded by Councilor Crocker to adopt Resolution 26-18. Is there any discussion on that motion? I'll just say at some point, I think we should have a discussion about the fact that those keep going down. I know we don't have a lot of extra money in our general fund, but just sort of the impacts that has on the organizations that we fund with state shared revenues and how that keeps going down as need keeps going up. So that's not anything really to do about tonight. I just wanted to say that. But any other discussion? Okay. With that, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
Resolution 26-18 is adopted unanimously. Next up, I'm opening a public hearing for the fiscal year 2026-27 city budget at 7:44 p.m. I guess I didn't say what time I closed the last hearing. 7:43. Oh, you're right. I already closed it. Thank you. I'm really great. All right, 7:44, we opened the new public hearing for the city budget, which is in your packet. And this is for the purpose of reviewing the city budget, hearing any public testimony, and then asking questions, after which point we will close the public hearing. Are there any conflicts of interest that councilors would like to share? Seeing none, then Mike and or Chris, would you like to give us a little recap? This shouldn't be news to anyone.
Yeah, I'll go over it. In front of the council, resolution 2015, which is possible adoption of the city of Philomath's 26-27 fiscal year budget and make appropriations. The resolution provides for budget appropriations of $31,946,909 with ending fund balance and reserve for future expenditures or just reserves of $2,813,956 for a total requirement of $34,760,865. Council may decrease the expenditure fund in any amount and increase any expenditure in any fund of 5,000 to 10%, whichever is greater. And if there's any changes, there must be an offsetting increase or decrease. The resolution lays out how the Budget Review Committee approved the budget. And so staff is recommending approving resolution 2619 as presented.
Thank you very much. Is there any public testimony? Seeing none, are there any questions from the council or staff? Seeing none.
I guess I can start.
Sorry.
It's always like right at the I mean, this could also be part of the like deliberation part, but I just was kind of wondering how we might be talking about like the cuts to particular projects. Like we had mentioned, like with the city council budget, that you would potentially not do Fridays on 13th or would reduce that. Is that like, I guess, were you planning on giving an overview of like what things so that we know what to expect?
It's probably better discussion for deliberation once we get out of the
Okay.
public hearing, but if you've got like
sorry,
specific
yeah.
questions about the resolution itself,
Okay.
now is a good time, but if not, I think that's a good conversation for deliberation.
Okay, any other sort of clarifying questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing on the 2026-27 city budget at 7:47 p.m. And now we will move into deliberations and motions. Councilor Andrade, did you have something you'd like to deliver?
Yeah, you do actually. Well, I had brought this up a little bit before, but I had developed some concerns about Fridays on 13th, based on a lot of the things that I heard in the community. And I could totally talk about that more if need be, but when we briefly spoke, so that I could give you the heads up, you had said that as of now, if we stick with these cuts, we're not going to have funding for it anyway. And so I guess trying to figure out what, knowing that our last decision was, sure, let's go ahead and do this thing. How should we talk about this in terms of budget? Should we talk about that also, or is that a separate conversation after the budget? Like what?
So specific to Fridays on 13th in May, I'd asked the council for $1,000 to get us through to do, I think we'd settled on 8 different events starting this Friday and going through July and August. But during budget review committee, that specific line item was called out to be eliminated and cuts were made to that department. So we don't have funding to do that project or to do that event. I think we, not to make it the poster child, but we talked a lot about sustainable cuts of things that we just can't afford to do. If we're going to make cuts to the fee that was proposed, the fee as proposed, the budget was what it was, but if we're going to reduce the fee amount, then there's things that we need to cut, and there were things that the budget review committee cut. So that is one of the sacrifices that was made. So as it stands right now, I don't really see that we have a choice other than to cancel the Fridays on 13th. We don't have funding for it. I don't mind kind of promoting it, putting it out there, but we don't have money for the porta pot, which was one of the major concerns that the property owners and restaurants had, was they didn't want to become the pit stop for everybody that was there for the night. We don't have money for, signage or definitely not any activities or anything like that. So my proposal, unfortunately, is going to be to go ahead and cancel that, and maybe in next year's budget or future budget, when things are a little bit better, we can put some money towards that effort. But I don't really see any choice other than to cancel the event that we haven't had yet. Cancel plans for the event. Based on the budget that, the way it's proposed and the way it came out of the Budget Review Committee. So,
I guess to that note, I'll just say that I'm totally fine with waiting another year. I don't know how the rest of council feels, but
Yeah, I guess I'll just say that when I moved to get rid of that funding, I honestly had not thought about that. But I also am comfortable waiting a year. I think if we're kind of trying to tighten the belt a little bit and evaluate areas for savings, I like the idea of Fridays on 13th. I think given that it's a new thing, it's not like we're canceling something that people have come to expect. And I also, just for the sake of our staff and the local businesses, I don't think it hurts to wait a year and make sure we have the capacity and make sure we have some really deep engagement with the businesses and kind of make sure we're all on the same page before next summer. Just, I think, the speed at which this was moving led to some sort of like, oh, what's going on? And I still think it's a really good idea. I think it would still be a good idea next year and might even be a better idea next year. And it allows us to honor the budget reductions, but that's obviously up to the council as a body.
and I will note, we are still gonna be putting the lights in, so there is still
Yes.
urban renewal for the improvement projects.
Yeah.
So the pavilion's still gonna be going in, the lights are still gonna be going in. We're still working on those types of improvements, which will still be happening. It's just the event itself, as far as hosting events, won't be happening. The Chamber of Commerce expressed some interest in maybe doing one of the Friday nights, having some stuff there. And I've been reached out to by a couple of other individuals that had like activity type things they were interested in doing. So what I might do for this year is just put them in touch with some of the restaurant owners and see if the restaurant owners want to host them or something, which could happen with or without the city helping sponsor anything. So, I still think there's good opportunity there for some things to happen this year without the official Fridays on 13th event. So again, that was kind of my intent, depending on how the council felt about it. So I still think it's happening there. I do think it's important to relay in talking to the two restaurants, specifically Dizzy Hen and Dirt Road. I don't feel like I'm telling any trade secrets. They're like, we're good on Friday nights. Like, we're full. Like, that was one of their concerns is like, we're already at capacity. Where are we going to put people, right? Like, I don't have extra seating outside for people because we're full Friday nights. It's one of our best nights, right? Friday and Saturday night. So they weren't necessarily like relying on this event to help bring more customers for them. That was one of their concerns is they're already so busy on those nights. And so, again, I don't think that they're going to take it in the pocketbook, so to speak, by any cancellation of any sort. So.
Any other discussion on that? Or on the motion or not, I guess there isn't a motion, on the proposed budget? Oh, Councilor Foster, what would you like to say?
I'm going to just sort of throw my hat into this, since there's a lot of blanks on my side, and I'll try to fill them in as we go along. So I move to approve resolution 26-19 adopting fiscal year 2026-2027 budget as recommended by the Budget Committee for the budget appropriations of $31,946,909 and total ending fund balances of $2,813,956 for total requirements of $34,760,865.
Is there a second? Scared me. All right, it's been moved by Councilor Salsa, seconded by Councilor Caseman to approve Resolution 26-19, adopting the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget as approved by the Budget Review Committee. Is there any discussion on that motion? Councilor Andrade?
I really appreciate in our budget committee meetings, the fact that we cut the budget. I still, I guess, so there's a couple of things. I recognize that we aren't allowed to cut line items, but at the same time, we have to talk about something. And talking about a line item kind of gives us an idea of what to talk about and like kind of a certain amount of money. And so I guess I see it as a proxy for the decision that the department head makes when, if we cut a budget, they get to decide where that money is coming from. Even if we say a particular line item, it's not necessarily going to come from there. And so I just want to, I appreciate that we were able to still make those cuts at our previous meeting, knowing that it was, that those line items weren't necessarily going to be where it's coming from. And I guess to clarify some of my comments before about the police budget, I still do think we should cut from the police budget. And I do think $4,000 is an extremely reasonable ask. I don't want people to lose jobs, and I don't think it would come to that if we maintain these, smaller amounts to the cuts. Because like I said, we aren't saying that, like, department head is who makes that choice first. They can choose to spread them out however they want. And I do think it was a mistake for a council to put prioritize competitive pay as opposed to fair pay for the police. But once again, that decision was made, and I just hope that we sincerely think a bit more in the coming years about whether or not we have the capacity and whether we have the capacity to pay for certain things when we prioritize strategic plan items and to potentially, wait another year. Let me see, sorry, I have notes all over my page. Yeah, I guess that's probably it for now.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Councilor Nielsen?
I'm going to be voting no, just to give you notice on the budget, because I was absent at the last meeting, but I still have some differing opinions on the state of things, and so I'll just leave it at that, but I'm going to be voting no.
Am I allowed to ask for which state? You don't have to answer. I'm just curious.
I have great confidence in our city and our management and in our department heads, and I think sometimes we as professional city councilors, yes, we are, but those professions that they have degrees in and have many years of experience in and know know what their department needs in order to function adequately. I think there's a price to be paid for living in a city of our caliber with the services that we have and the police department and the public works. I think there's a debt to be paid for those things. And I think us saying let's just make cuts or things will just remain the way they are when the economy in general and life in general, if you go anywhere, you see the costs are rising. And I don't, in reading about what's going on with Corvallis and Albany and Grants Pass and other cities, and I just came back from Idaho, I think sometimes we have to just do the hard work of saying that it may cost $5 a home, or it may cost $10 a household, or it may cost $15 a household to maintain the standard that we come to really love and appreciate in what Philomath is and what we offer to its citizens. And there's a cost for that. And I wish with all my heart we wouldn't incur that. I'm not saying that we're flushed and we can do that, but I think that sometimes there are sacrifices we make to live in a good community, to live in a safe community, to live in a community that really is forward-thinking in being frugal and saving for hard times, and in balancing the budget and letting its workers and those that maintain the good standards that we have in our city. I think they deserve that. And I didn't think, yes, I would like to have seen a different type of monthly fee, but I'm not in accordance with what we've decided. And it's nothing against anyone in council, it's just a personal opinion, if that's all right.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to, I guess, clarify, and partly also to your question from earlier, this budget does still assume a $5 per month fee, which I also assumed we would be voting on tonight, but we'll be doing that, I guess, in 2 weeks. So just to your point about people, chipping in, that is still assumed in this budget. But any other discussion? Oh,
I have questions, and I agree with what she said, but I am concerned if we don't pass the budget, what happens?
We stay until you pass something.
Well, it doesn't have to be unanimous, correct?
What's that?
So one no vote isn't
Okay.
gonna pass, not, or, yeah.
I'm just saying, and I do have a little bit.
Okay, it's okay to disagree, I'm totally
No,
a
I'm
big
not.
girl.
How can you? I thought the $5 fee was a goal from last time. I thought it was still negotiable, but it feels like it's not, because it's kind of been advertised as $5. But, I mean, not officially granted. And so I don't know. Yeah, I wish that we had the option to bump it to 7 if we needed to or something, so we had some.
we can do that tonight.
I know, but it was said on social media that it was $5, so I thought, now that's done. It felt like, because if we bump it up, I think there will be some questioning of our word.
And is that $5 stagnant, so it's over time, it doesn't stagger or
That would be up to we haven't
upcoming
adopted
years?
it
Okay.
yet. I get,
Yeah, I'm shocked that we're not talking about that tonight.
me too. Can I respond to that?
Absolutely.
Because I have a feeling I'm being
Yeah.
subtweeted.
Absolutely. I respect you greatly. I just was, oh my gosh, now it's decided and we haven't even voted yet. It felt like that to me.
Okay, I guess I'll clarify. I made a social media post sharing Brad's article about our budget review committee meeting and stating that at the budget review committee meeting, the budget that was approved by the budget review committee reduced the proposed fee to $5, and then stating that the next step would be for the council to
Yes.
vote
we
on
do.
that at this
Absolutely.
meeting. So I never wanted to give anyone the impression that was a done deal. I would just counter by saying we did a lot of promotion saying there'd be a $14 fee before that was a done deal too. So I'm fine with getting the information out there to the public and letting them react to it.
I'm just
But,
telling
yeah.
my thoughts on that, but anyway. So, yeah, I am concerned about not having more reserve balance or ending fund balance, because inflation is affecting us like it is affecting everybody. And I am sympathetic to the fact that prices are going up everywhere and that people do not want prices going up. But they're going up for us too. Our gas is going up, our materials are going up, our labor's going up. It's very difficult for us to continue if people think we can continue on the same budget we had years ago.
Any other, Counselor Salsa?
On the other hand, I think that the credit should be given to the amount of work that the budget committee really did. It was very tough decisions, and to the staff that had to literally scramble a little bit
Yes.
here. Because there was a lot of things that were brought up at that particular committee. And the fact of the matter is that we've had a lot of these discussions during that time, and everybody had a chance to say what they had to say. And I just wanted to at least acknowledge the fact that we've done a balanced budget as a recommendation to the council, that's a big deal these days. I'm looking at a lot of the other cities that are going through this. It's not going well. And that we've done what we've done is really kudos to the people that the budget committee, the staff, everybody working together as a team, and public opinion, because that was in there too. And I mean, some of us on social media and things like that, we got our ear full from some time, but we took that into consideration too. So the process worked, and had some rough edges, but I do want to acknowledge this council for all of it, even if we don't necessarily agree with this. That's part of the process. That's what makes this work. So that's my discussion.
Dr. Chaseman?
And this just goes back to the budget committee, so not to totally retread that, but a big part of it for me was the URA funds. In 2 years, I think, was something like $380,000 a year, something in that range is going back into the city budget. That was an important factor for me. So once again, not to retread it, but just to kind of,
That's right.
that was a big one for me.
Temporary. Any other discussion?
Mayor.
Oh, yes, please. I
no,
hate
you're-
that there's like always one person right here. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just, I think that it's important that we, stick to the spirit of the budget committee of at least maintaining the cuts because that was the main concern, was affordability for our community members, who, many of whom are struggling a lot. I think, however much I don't want there to be a city services fee and don't think that it's a good time to have one, I would, and I know that's not what we're deciding right now, but having the budget that would effectively set a city services fee, like I am much more happier with 5 than 14, and I honestly think that's the best we're gonna get at the moment. But yeah, I agree. There were a lot of factors that went into feeling like this was kind of the best way forward, considering the decisions that had been made leading up to this. But I also want to reiterate, once again, especially as we find ourselves in this difficult position with getting enough funds to fund all the services that we want, that we seriously consider the following, as soon as we are able to, I guess, next year, revisiting that cannabis time, place, manner restriction, because, we can use some of that funds, again, a little, I know it's a little and it's gonna be declining, and also like everything helps. You can use that to help fund police. So I think we need to make sure we explore every option, think more creatively. Yeah. thanks again, everyone, for great discussions.
Thank you. Councilor
I do have a question regarding that. Are you saying that if we have cannabis shops in our city, we'll get more money from marijuana? How much more?
I don't know.
I think if we could have our own local marijuana districts, right? And then that, so if there were,
500%.
I think then we would get no revenue. But yeah, I mean, it just depends on, you know. Hey, am I right about that? Or was there some weird things the state says we can't? Yeah, but I mean, that's the same station.
Oh, yeah, brain.
I think it's built into the state tax already that if you have a certain number of dispensaries,
Oh, you get more?
you get an increased number based on number of dispensaries
Is
you have.
it one of the ones where it's actually like a preemption saying you can't have a local tax?
I think they've done it at the state level.
Talks to LOC. Yes, please, Councilor.
So I guess I would say there's a couple of things that when I vote on this, I'm wrong gesture, I'm voting with the assumption that this, I mean, it's essentially we have to approve the fee, whether it's in an hour after this or in 2 weeks, and I'm okay with that. I came here prepared for that, and I guess I would reiterate that kind of all along, I think the fee has really been the only viable. I love the idea of a levy or some other voter-driven option, but I think even at the time that we knew that it was a possibility, it didn't match appropriate timelines for getting funding in place in order to maintain services, and I reluctantly voted for some of the cuts in the budget, because I do believe that it's what people were asking us for, and I think that but I also kind of think there's never a good time to add a fee or a thing where there isn't, it wouldn't make any sense if the economy was booming for us to add a fee either, right? Like, unfortunately, it's our cost that drives whether we need to supplement the revenue for the city or not. And typically that's all, if cost is going up for everybody else and they can't afford much, unfortunately, that's also the time that our costs are rising and we need to have a shortfall to cover. And so, having been on the budget committee, I think that this budget represents a pretty good compromise between making the cuts and unfortunately asking the staff to do more with less, or at least as much with less. And I think it's a difficult cut, but I voted to approve it in budget committee and will vote to approve it tonight, with the understanding that what we're doing is hitting the brakes as much as we can and to wait out the URA and hopefully, I think I agree with Councilman Andrade that there's some tough decisions to be made. I would be interested in a discussion about what would change if we did make changes to cannabis time, place, and manner, or if there are other options we can consider to help fund flow. And so, but that's mostly restating what everybody else said, but I think it's important to note that it was one of those. I feel like we sat at looking in the face of there isn't, maybe this isn't what we would have had if we had an indefinite amount of time just to solve the problem, right? Or enough infinite amounts of meetings and fine line adjustments. As much as I love a good city meeting, I think that a lot of time and effort went into this, and I'm even frankly concerned that some of the cuts seem difficult to implement, but I have faith in the staff that they're gonna at least, do the best, do the best we can. And so, yeah, so I guess I'm reluctantly will vote to approve. I wish we could have just said, how much do we need? And then asked everybody for that and then done that. Sorry, Chris.
I'm just gonna put on the table spaghetti feed. I mean,
Yeah, every week, yeah.
spaghetti feed, we could raise at least as money as in a spaghetti feed that we could do with the cannabis tax sale.
Pretty close, maybe.
Wait, but if you,
Honestly, if they're well timed, it'd be open to dispensary and then a spaghetti.
But on a serious note, on a little more serious note, just want to put the council at ease. After this vote, you can have a discussion about the fee because the vote on the budget does show a revenue item that's coming from a city services fee. And so we can still have that discussion. I want to just put you at ease, like we can have discussion. You can give staff direction. It wouldn't come to you any sooner than the meeting in July. And I'll take that on my shoulders for not having it here and prepared. But part of that was a little bit of a judgment call. We don't want to be overly assertive or preemptive that this was the budget the council was going to approve. So want to just take some pressure off there and have the discussion about the budget. And then once the budget's approved, then we can come back to you with discussion about the fee. And so we can still have that discussion. You can give us very clear direction tonight on bringing back an ordinance that would put a fee in place. I wouldn't mind at that time having a conversation about we're going to name the fee now that it's wholly and almost entirely going to police and not the general fund in its entirety. It might be more appropriate to talk about a different name, and I can have a discussion then. But before you voted here, just want to put your peace of mind that it does have that revenue item for a city services fee. And so if you want to direct staff, you can be very specific with us on a motion and we can bring that back to you at your next meeting.
I will say that this is, I think, probably the most difficult budget cycle I've been involved in. I've not been around as long as the folks on my left and right, but and that right as well. But I really appreciate the process in terms of having really robust discussions, hearing from the public, incorporating public feedback, and landing on the budget we have here, which I think, as we've heard, no one loves, which I think is actually a pretty good sign that it is a good compromise. It's not that one side got everything they want or another side got everything they wanted. I think everyone got something they wanted in this budget, or everyone achieved sort of something they wanted to protect or something that they wanted to reduce. And I think we landed in a place that actually represents our council and our community pretty well as a whole. So this isn't exactly what I would want if I were in charge of everything, but I am comfortable moving this forward because of all the input and the discussion and the deliberation and the decisions that we made as a body. I also have thoughts on the fee and all of that, but to Chris's point, I think we can save those for that time. But I would encourage folks to support this given the rigorous public input and committee process that we got through to have a consensus here. With that, if I'm not seeing any other hands, then as a reminder, the motion before us is to approve the budget as, or adopt the budget as approved by the Budget Review Committee. So would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye. Those opposed, nay?
Nay.
And the, I guess it's resolution 26-19 passes 6-1. Thank you very much. And thank you to Mike especially, as well as Chris and Chelsea and all the department heads for all the work that went into this. I know it's a big lift, so thank you very much. And enjoy the rest of your evening, Mike. You don't have to come see us anymore for another, 8 months. Okay. So the next item on our agenda is the lease agreement. Do we want to take a moment to respond to some of what the city manager was talking about? We're giving some direction around the,
I guess I'll just lead to say, we intend to bring an ordinance to you with a $5 per month per household fee. We do intend to have a caveat for low-income households that meet our criteria for low-income households to either reduce that in half or to eliminate it entirely. If you want to give me some direction there tonight, then we can put that language in the ordinance rather than trying to change it the night of. So if you want to give me specific language surrounding any type of reduction for low-income households, we can do that. And then it might be helpful if you want to have any type of brief discussion about the name of the fee, I think would be appropriate as well. My just recommendation, put it out there, would be to call it what it is supporting, which at this point is public safety and the police department. And not dissimilar to many other cities throughout the state, when it is just for police, that's what they call it, a public safety fee. Is pretty typical, and that would be very familiar. And when our residents get that on the bill and they're complaining to their neighbor that lives up in Portland, they'll be like, oh, yep, we got a public safety fee as well. And it's a little bit more relatable. City services fee is much more general. So my recommendation would be that the council consider that. And again, if I get that direction tonight, then we can draft the ordinance accordingly.
yeah. I'll say I don't have as many strong feelings on what the low income reduction is. I feel like $250 a month versus $0 a month isn't a huge difference. So if people have strong feelings on that, I'm happy to hear them. But what I do have stronger feelings on is the name. I think that was one thing we heard clearly from the public comment we received, was just regardless of the amount and everything, people just wanted to know like what this is actually being spent on, and they wanted it to be clear. And I also think a lot of what we heard is that people want to support the police department. And I think this actually is better to then call it what it is and show that it is going towards something that people want to support, rather than just sort of going into the big, black box of the city sort of. So I would support naming it either public safety or law enforcement fee. I know the fire district sometimes has concerns around calling it a public safety fee because they are part of the public safety enterprise and they don't get any of that. So I know they would maybe prefer that we call it a, police department fee or law enforcement fee, but that's up to us at the end of the day. So I'll go to Councilor Nielsen first, just because she raised her hand first, and then.
So in a perfect world, what my vote would be to have a zero cost for low income, and then maybe a $7 fee for everyone else. I think we are not, well, I'm talking to myself, not everyone that I associate with or talk with is considered low income. I know a lot of low income in Philomath, but I don't think we're a city of entirely low income individuals. Maybe that's an overstatement. So I think we could afford to do 7 to kind of counteract the loss of the low income, whatever, 250 or whatever it may be. But I would say to zero cost on those that are already struggling at that low income bracket, that they not have any additional draws. But I'm for a little bit higher on the month, and instead of 5, maybe to 7.
I guess as a everything okay?
Yeah.
As a clarifying question, the amount that's calculated in the budget right now, do we know how, did we calculate that with a certain assumption on losing out on revenue for low income, or sort of I guess just to Councilor Nielsen's point, I guess I'm curious, is it, what difference are we talking about in the low income rate? Would that cost the city $10,000 a year, or, $100,000 a year?
We roughly right now, we have about 50 households that are registered as low income households for the utility reduction.
Okay.
So if you're $5 times.
So $100, 150, so, okay. So.
But we still could have other applicants coming in if that fee comes out and they say, well, we don't. But it's not closed, is that correct? It's an open.
It's open, and it changes monthly as people move in and move out. It'll go up and down a little bit, yeah.
But it wouldn't be a drastic change to the
To
budget.
go from 5 to 0, or
For
for
it to be
50.
No, for 50 households, we have about 1,700 utility customers. So 50 out of 1,700, it's a fairly small fairly small reduction. And Mike's left already, but I believe that we are already assuming those 50 households when we were doing the numbers. I mean, we were using pretty conservative numbers on what that would be, so.
If you were assuming 50 households at what rate?
That's zero.
Zero.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kelsey.
I just did a quick search on names of fees. And we'll just say that when I search law enforcement fee for city of in Oregon, they're not popping up as that. They're either public safety fee or police services fee. So it's just a suggestion. I like if you want to have something that other people in other places might relate to more.
Sorry.
I don't feel really strongly about it, but I do think since, I don't know why everything fire, I gesture at Counselor Salsa. It's,
I mean, look at his shirt.
sort of his realm. But yeah, he's wearing the shirt tonight. But I do think since they're funded by a levy, I think it could be confusing to people that we've now added a fee and they just voted to add money to their tax bill. And so I think that whatever we do there, it's important that it's differentiated in that public safety does sort of imply that the fire department gets them. I think police services, I mean, it's not a really scientific method, but if you Google it and there's nobody's using that term, then maybe we don't, there's.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important that we differentiate the fire department because it does kind of feel like a double ask then, and that I think when they go to when they need to renew that, it would be like, oh, you've already added this, you know, like last time I voted for this, you then added a fee for it on top of that.
Yeah. So do you have a question or?
I did have a comment.
Oh, please.
But, I agree, and I'm on the fire liaison, and they had asked specifically to be pulled out of the discussion about this because it was not going to benefit them. So I think police services is wonderful. I almost, and I'd love to hear everyone's opinion of people, I would almost rather not go to zero. I'd rather have it be $1. Because otherwise people are gonna feel like they're subsidizing their neighbor, and I don't want that feeling in our community either.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree. Like, I like the idea that everyone,
contributes something.
has some skin in the game, even if it's sort
I
of
don't think
nominal
$1 is
amount.
gonna affect.
And just, I guess, for context, there's no other what are our other low income rates? It's like.
The base rate for water, the base rate for sewer.
But I mean, like, how much are we lowering them by, do you know?
Those are half, those are 50% reductions.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't have strong feelings on it. It kind of makes sense to just keep it consistent then, but.
Yeah, if we're consistent, like with water rates and
Yeah.
stuff like that, I think that's the best application.
I think that's really.
Makes it easier to explain for
Right,
staff.
yeah, 'cause
I
it's
think
just
it kind of
feels-
makes sense. I mean,
Right, yeah.
It's not that hard to go from, accept this one fee is zero.
Right.
I think people could grasp that pretty easily, but I would agree with the sentiment that I think everybody having a little bit of skin in the game, to use that analogy, makes sense. And, $250 a month is $250 a month, but I do think we heard through all this conversation, support for the police department and the work that the police does. And again, back to prior discussions, this was really about having our police officers be more competitively paid. And everybody needs to kind of help with that. So.
Okay, so are people okay with $250 and calling it a police services fee? Is kind of seems like the direction we're going. But I just had one other question, which hasn't come up yet, but how are we handling this for like multifamily or commercial? Like, do we want any differentiation, or is it?
So it's we'll base it off the general fund fee that we had before. And it's per unit. So when a unit apartment complex, it'd be 20 units. Even if they have 1 meter, it's based off those units because those are all calculated. We didn't differentiate with the general fund fee. We didn't differentiate between residential or commercial. It was just, commercial business that had 20 employees was paying the same as a household. It was just that business itself was paying the fee. Some cities will charge differently for businesses. There's a range of different ways that they calculate how to attribute that. I think staff's recommendation and talking to Mike, and we've talked through this a couple different times, would be to keep it similar just by the unit. So whether you're a business or residence, it's one unit.
Okay. Does that work for folks? Okay, are you okay with just consensus then on what we talked about, or do you?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I'll bring the ordinance back. Total services fee, 50% reduction for low income, effective. If we put an emergency clause on it, we can have it effective starting June 1, which means people would pay it in July, would be the first payment, so 30 days after. If we don't do the emergency clause, then it's that 30 days and then plus 30 days notice, so we wouldn't collect it until September, right? A full 2 months out, so, or June. Well, we'd approve it in July. So I'm saying is if we put an emergency clause on the ordinance in July and notify everybody, then we'll start charging it in June, but people wouldn't pay it until their August.
You mean July?
July. What am I going back to?
Okay.
We're in June.
Yes, okay.
Being adopted. We'd start collecting in August, which means that September would be the first time people would pay it. If we don't put an emergency clause on the ordinance, then it wouldn't be until October before the first payment would be made. Which bumps it a little bit more. And I don't think this is, my argument would be, I would argue for putting an emergency clause on and start sooner, because I don't think this is a big surprise for people. We've been talking about pretty openly at $14.
The ordinance. So if it doesn't pass unanimously, because I feel like there's a chance this might not, then that puts us.
Come back for a second vote at the second meeting.
And does an emergency clause have to pass unanimously?
No, it can be on there for the second vote still.
Okay. So I guess just something to consider.
We would just have probably just have a second meeting in July.
Okay.
And it would be voted on for the second. If it wasn't unanimous at the first meeting in July, we'd bring it back for a second meeting in July, which I don't know we have anything set, but I think for the purposes of getting the ordinance passed along, a quick meeting or the fourth week of July. I would just worry about getting people proper notice or plenty of notice.
I
Right?
agree.
So,
I'm just also trying to plan ahead. It feels like something that may not be. I don't know. Okay. So I guess.
I'm going to write it up with the emergency clause in there.
Okay.
And then we can change it there. I've just wanted to put that out there. That procedurally, that would allow us, if it was unanimous and we had the emergency clause on for the July meeting, then we could start notifying people early in July that, hey, starting August 1st, we're going to start charging this. And then when it comes to September 1, your payment's due, that $5 is going to be on there. So that gives people a month and a half's notice, which would be appreciated.
In addition to all the last several months of discussion. I get it.
I don't mean to be difficult, but it sounds like we're just solidly put into the $5 and we're not even going to consider $6 or $7.
That's what I'm asking.
I mean, you're welcome to make a motion if you would like something different.
I would like to move, yes.
Okay.
That we raise the $5 to at least $6 to help accommodate for our low income and maybe give us a little bit of ending fund, but balance in case we run into an emergency.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Crocker, seconded by Councilor Nielsen to have staff do a $6 fee in the ordinance instead of a $5 fee. Is there any discussion on that?
Yes, I haven't, is that gonna mess up the title of police services if we have $2,000? I don't know how much we'd have left for.
Based on the direction that the council gave us to negotiate unions with the police department, no, all $6 would still go towards police most likely. And likely up to $7 would all go towards police still, so.
Because right now we're using some of the existing general fund to
Oh,
offset.
okay, now it makes sense. Thank you.
And the original discussions we had with council, we recommended a $7 a month fee would be needed in order to provide the police with the competitive salaries that we were recommending.
Okay.
And so that was at 7, and then the
But-
other
so that would give
$7
us
was to help with
leftover.
the union fund balance, so it was 7 and 7.
Then our general fund would maybe have a little bit extra.
Still,
I mean, I guess some of the money we're using to offset it from the general, sure.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make a huge,
Or for every 17,
We would still have,
50 a month.
if the concern is, would the $6 per month all go towards police services? Yes, it would all go towards police services.
But we wouldn't have to steal from the.
We wouldn't take as much from the ending fund balance.
That's what I'm saying.
Big difference.
$20,000 maybe over the year. And then it kind of balance.
is there any other discussion on the motion? Oh, yeah, I need you to do the little bell.
Sorry, no, I was just trying, I was trying to finish the math real quick. But it's looking like that would be, instead of about 8,375, that it would be 10,050 if it were to be 6.
What did you know?
Sorry. If we're assuming 1,700 utility customers, 50 of whom are at $250, that's $125. And if the remaining 1,650 are at $5, that should be 8,250. So then when you add that together, the
That's the per
revenue,
month, right?
it should be 8,375 versus, that's what I forgot to do, was to look at like how much that would bring for the fiscal year.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's per month versus if you were to do a $6 fee with a $3, whatchamacallit, low income fee,
Yeah.
then it would be 10,050 per month. As opposed to, And then I haven't done the subtraction yet because I'm not that fast.
So like 1,300 different, or no, 17?
37.
We're doing real math out.
I live for this kind of math.
Seems like it's approximately 2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,675.
Thank you.
Yeah, per
Um,
month. So then I
yeah.
guess if you multiply that by 12, then you're looking at a difference of.
I love this. Stay in school, folks.
It would be better if we had napkins, because
It would be,
like
yeah.
napkin.
Back of
I
the,
hope someone public records requests her packet.
20,100.
Okay,
How much?
20,100.
A difference of 20,000.
No, that's what I said.
Oh,
That's not right.
You did call it.
That's assuming all my math is correct.
Right, right.
It is.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? I would prefer to keep it at $5, but I really appreciate where the councils are coming from. No other discussion. Reminder, the motion is to change it to 6. So all those in.
and that includes $3 to low income as well?
I guess that wasn't part of the motion. I'm assuming that we're,
We're keeping things consistent, which is what we talked about. It would be.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, just want to make sure it's clear.
okay. Then all those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Okay, all those opposed, nay. Nay. The motion fails 4-3. The motion does not pass. Okay, any other discussion or motions? Do you have what you need?
Yep, I'll bring an ordinance back to you for July.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Let's have that direction. That's that much less discussion we had about.
Yeah, sure.
Or we can
Oh, I'm sure
rehash
we
the
will.
whole discussion.
Yeah.
That is July 14th.
Yes.
Um, Okay. Next up, we have our lease agreement amendment from, with Philomath Frolic and Rodeo Incorporated. I just want to call everyone's attention to the supplemental materials that were provided before the meeting, which is different than what's in your packet. I'm gonna steal a little bit of Duffy's thunder. What's in your packet, the highlighted or the bolded portions are what is currently there, but we're changing. It just wasn't ready in time for the packet. So this amendment, the new item that you were distributed earlier is with those, the new versions of what was underlined and bolded in the packet. So you can kind of ignore what's in the packet. That was just to give you an idea. Oh, this is the little teaser trailer. This is the actual thing that we're considering this evening is this additional item that was provided. And you can see what's struck out. And then the text immediately following the struck pieces are the new sections placing strikeouts. I guess, so I'm really stealing your whole thunder. Just so everyone knows, and it talks about in here, this is sort of a, just to hold us through with the Frolic for this year. There were a few things that we needed to address before the Frolic this year. There will probably be more negotiations and sort of discussion on a long-term, 99-year lease. Moving forward with everything, this was just to kind of get us through. I mean, technically this is a 99-year lease, but this is just to get us through this year, sort of the immediate needs. And we can talk about some of those more big picture things. But my appreciation to Chelsea for all of her work leading through this, and Chris.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit more background just so that you all have it. Last summer, I think it was about when I went to Frolic meeting to talk about some funding things for the Grandstand project. And talked to them at that time about some lease amendments that we were thinking about. They had some things that they also thought they would like to look at for a lease amendment. So Chris and I had drafted, it was pretty substantial, but things that we thought that that they knew about that we were looking at, and the things that they had mentioned they were looking at. And long story short, we sent that out, I think, late fall. There was November. There was some time that went by. We did hear that they were going to hire an attorney just to help them look through the document. And when it came back to us, it was basically rewritten from what we had written. So we decided that we needed to maybe take a step back, and which is why we're saying that we're going to look at an additional amendment here in the future and address the most time-sensitive items, which we all agree on, the Frolic and the city, just to kind of clean up the premises ownership language, and then expand the indemnification insurance for today's world, even though it was only in 2018 when this 99-year lease was put into place. There are a lot of things that have changed. CIS has changed, and our insurance recommendations have changed. But we will still have the 99-year lease. We're just looking at amendments for the 99-year lease. And as the mayor said, the sections that we addressed are in strike through in the handout that I gave you, and the new language is following. So I can summarize what's in here that's a little bit different, just that it might be easier since you did receive it so late. But essentially in the premises section, and Chris may give some history on this a little bit if you are interested. He has more history than I do. The ownership of the buildings was listed as the Frolic, and that had to do with coming over from the Skirvins and sort of that whole process. But then there were questions about ownership, maintenance, responsibility, insurance. Those started to come up recently, and we all agreed that that the ownership of the buildings is with the city. If you have
There
the
was
history on that.
There was an MOU that was signed between the city and the Skirvins and the Frolic. So it was a three-way memorandum of understanding. And in that memorandum of understanding, it stated that the Frolic would maintain ownership of the facility improvements on the grounds. When the quitclaim deed was actually prepared, it did not have that language. It actually quitclaimed everything to the city, including those facilities. When the lease got drafted, it grabbed the language from the MOU, not from the quitclaim deed. And so it became an immediate kind of point of needing clarification because there was a conflict with the actual deed that gave everything to the city, whereas the MOU said it was going to go to the Frolic. So this section really just cleans that up, and it's now reflective of what was in the deed as opposed to what was in that original MOU. So sometime between the MOU getting approved by everybody and the deeds actually being prepared, Skirvins had a change of heart. Somebody advised them differently. It was simpler to do, whatever the case might be. This new language is reflective of what's actually in the deed, which is all of that got deeded over to the city.
And I know we all know this, but since the initial lease was written, the city also constructed several $1 million worth of new facilities on the property that
We're
did
not
not
named.
use Frolic money. They used grants the city received.
Correct.
So that's part of the need for this, is that those weren't even included in the original lease at all, so.
And some of what the Frolic was asking was acknowledgement that, yes, we understand, we see that the deed is, and to be honest, not everyone on the board even had a copy of the deed. So they do acknowledge it. They just want also acknowledgement for the fact that they are maintaining it,
Yep.
and they are. So we have just identified that. Indemnification is just pretty standard. Every time an attorney touches indemnification language, they want to
Changes.
update it. And I'll tell you, it was probably one of the more heavily updated sections, which was kind of interesting, but we've pretty well settled on that. The insurance section, as you can see, it did have coverage language. Yes.
By we, she means the Frolic's attorney and the city's
Yes.
attorney.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
do have our city attorney's office working on this with Chelsea. So when she says we, it means the
Yes.
attorneys
Yes.
have hammered this out.
The
This is the
attorneys.
language they're comfortable with.
Right.
So we,
Sorry.
as in
Yes.
us and from
Not-
the
no.
board and staff, this is at the attorney level
Yes.
that's reviewed all of
Indemnification.
this.
The insurance, similar, has been heavily vetted by our insurance agents at WHA. We actually went through this last year. We did a bunch of work with them on insurance language. And then it was one of the things that was substantially changed. So we've gotten back more toward our language. We've just had better conversations, understanding there are a lot of new folks on the Frolic board. So we've had some discussions just further explaining just the insurance, the coverage, the way that public entities work, the way our insurance works. So those have been good conversations. This section, we do have a few small minor language changes that we're waiting for final review on. But I did speak with the attorney at Barry Elsner, who is helping draft this and negotiate with the Frolic's attorney, and said the way that we have the motion written will allow us to just finish those small changes to that. And they're not substantial. We're just talking auto liability. They don't own any vehicles currently, so we're just trying to get language on that will cover us adequately, but also not be a hardship for them to have a year-long policy on vehicles that they don't own. And I think the other thing is related to I think just they were asking for the annual amount that they're kind of agreeing to pay for the coverage, so I've given that to them too. So, yes, that's my discussion. We'd really love to get this passed now. Obviously, the frolic is coming up very quickly, so we'd like to get this in place.
Mr. Crocker?
I would like to see 2 additions if possible. One is on page 1 where it says 502 South 13th Street. I think it would be wise for us to have a little more detail, like the longitude, latitude, or.
We do have that.
Okay, and
Yes,
is it gonna be?
it's in the agreement, actually. It is part of the original agreement. Sorry, I did not include the exhibits, but the original lease agreement does have that.
Specified.
Yes.
As a map. And we're talking
Yes.
about.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I did see that, but I
That's
still
season.
think it could be in the verbiage to specify even more clearly. I mean, 502, that could be. It could be a mile square or something less, I don't know. And then I would love to see written into the insurance part that we update or have the opportunity to update every 5 years, because I noticed on the first round, it was 500,000 and $1 million, and you have updated it to $1 million and $2 million now. I would love to be able to do that, because I think costs and changes and everything happen maybe every 5 years. And if we could specify that would.
Right, that would be in a different section of the lease, so when we do come back and discuss further amendments that we'd like to see, that's where we would look at doing that. We don't want it to be too often that it becomes tedious, but you're right.
I mean, it
Things
can
do
be,
change.
But already in 7 years, it's changed.
Right.
And I anticipate it will change again.
Yeah, no, I agree with Chelsea. We should have in the lease agreement the ability to revisit, but it shouldn't be limited to just insurance, right? It's insurance and all the other, so we would do a more
Yes.
blanket
But-
allowance
Yeah.
for us to go back in and negotiate in good faith.
Yeah, a
with the frolic.
99-year lease agreement makes me feel.
Yeah. And just to clarify, you're saying that would be in this
Right.
full.
Yeah, well, we will find language with the product. You know, it's to the benefit of both organizations to be able to have a very clear way to reopen and renegotiate a lease. And the current lease just doesn't have that provision. It's see you in 99 years.
Yeah, that's the feeling I got, so that's why.
Okay, sorry.
I should just, I maybe shouldn't have been louder about it. My company contracts with the Frolic for some services for the facility. And so I don't know, there's no monies in here, but I don't know where that lies.
I feel like it may be best to.
Yeah, I would declare that a conflict of interest. A direct financial conflict of interest, yeah. So you've declared it, so you just say you're gonna recuse yourself and.
Go grab a cup of water.
Okay. Do you want me to leave or do you want me, okay.
Probably best.
Oh, yeah.
Best for you if you left.
Yeah, so I recuse myself.
Yeah, I
Do
think
I have to raise my hand and stuff or?
No,
can you
it's
write
right.
paper?
We'll note in the minute, Counselor Irwin declared an actual conflict of interest and recused himself. And then we'll have Chelsea come grab you when we're done. Thank you for catching
Be
that.
back there forever.
It was finally when I stopped asking if anyone had. Someone had.
Prior to any discussion on the topic, Councilor Irwin reacts.
Thanks. Any other discussion or motions on this? I guess I can move things, can't I? I move to direct the city manager to execute an amendment to the lease agreement with the Philomath Frolic and Rodeo Incorporated dated October 1st, 2018. It's been moved by Mayor McMorrin, seconded by Councilor Salsa, to direct the city manager to execute an amendment to the lease agreement with the Philomath Frolic and Rodeo Incorporated dated October 1st, 2018. Is there any discussion on that motion? Thanks again for all the work. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Passes 6 ayes, 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I know, watch out.
How's everybody feeling? Want to keep going? Want to take a little break? You good?
Well, yeah, let's get through the transit. See, I think then. Well, no, we're not used to.
I think you did work.
Okay. Well, I guess maybe let's take a 3-minute break and
Perfect.
return
Stand
at
up and-
8:58. All right.
The word recital is used. Why is it called a recital? There's no music involved.
All right, welcome back, everyone. It is 8:58, and we are coming back to order. We are on our newly added item of new business D2, the transit contract with Corvallis Amendment Number 2, which was provided just a meeting. I apologize to anyone watching online that this was not in the packet. Normally, we would put this off until the next meeting, but the agreement expires in like a week, so we need to address this now. As the agenda item summary says, we've talked a lot, especially during the budget process, about renegotiating some of our transit services contract with the city of Corvallis, who operates our bus and we pay for it. But the city manager would like a little more time to go through that with a fine tooth comb. So this is just basically extending the status quo until the end of the year, until they can come to a more official update. Anything to add on?
Yeah, I will. I mean, it's maintain the status quo plus, right? There are several sections that
Yeah,
we all agree. There's several references to the box that we used to collect funds from, the fair box when we were collecting fares that we're not doing anymore. So we're all in agreement to remove those sections. Add a section about giving notice to the city when there's an accident. It was within 48 hours. I'm like, how about within 24 hours or as soon as possible? So there's some language that we're all kind of agreeable on that we want to go ahead and just take care of. I was hoping to get a little bit further on the finance discussion, and just with my time out of the office the last few weeks, it wasn't something I was able to get to. And we want to dive in and look more vigorously at use of the route. Where are people getting on the bus? What percentage of riders are getting on and or off in Philomath, and what percentage of riders are only getting on and off in Corvallis? And maybe seeing if there's a more equitable split there. And Corvallis has indicated that there's some additional costs that they've incurred that aren't necessarily reflected in this cost structure either, that they want to make sure are more equitably put on us as well. So we just didn't have the time to have that level of discussion. So they originally were saying, hey, let's just keep in place for a year. I sped that up, saying, let's just handle this in the next 6 months. By the end of the calendar year, let's get something in place that reflects a better look at the cost. So I don't anticipate a lot of changes outside of the cost structure end of the year. This is, I think, a pretty good look at everything else within the current agreement that needs to be amended. Short of just that cost structure, I think I had one other item that we're going to talk about as far as the Corvallis does a really good job of including Philomath Connection and promoting it as Philomath Connection. They don't do as good a job as including Philomath Connection with all of their Corvallis Transit information that goes out. So like they have a brochure that they hand out pretty readily to folks that they have, and it only includes the Corvallis routes. It doesn't have Philomath Connection even in there. But when you go online, it's very clearly there. And so, they do a good job in some areas and maybe a less better job in other areas and some of the print material more, that it would be nice to promote the overall transit system for our region, which includes Philomath, also provides, connection to Albany and out to the coast. And some of those get left off in the print material, I think, just because of size. So I wanted to at least open a conversation with them about seeing if we could do a little bit more there, because I know that those handout brochures get gone throughout the year as well. Pretty popular. So a couple little things that might change, but for the most part, this is it, other than look for some cost and hopefully cost allocation change by the end of the year.
thank you very much. I just have two things.
Yeah.
First, on number 10, I think that should be the Philomath Connection rather than the Philomath Express.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't think Brad ever collected fares.
The Polar Express.
I know, it's a fun name. And then I just wanted to add the Exhibit A compensation rates. Are those unchanged from what we're paying right now?
No, they're up.
Oh, good.
They're up from what they are now. And again, to their point by the email I got just earlier today, it sounds like not all their costs are captured there. And so those might adjust again in December.
How do we know how much they're up?
You can look at
Because I looked at
Exhibit B.
I just was that for
Or it's Exhibit A. It's the very last page, period 3.
I just wasn't sure how it's $69 an hour for operations revenue hour cost. I just wasn't sure what are we
Used to be
paying?
52.20.
Is it because I wasn't sure about the 52 because then it said that's effective July 1st, 2022, but increased by CPI.
Oh, yeah. So it's gone up since then.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So these all get inflated or increased every year, not inflated. They get increased every year based on CPI to cover those inflationary increases of the CPI. But yeah, so whatever CPI went up.
Okay.
3.5%, 3.8%.
My understanding, this is mostly funded by a grant. So do these increases affect our budget, is what I'm asking.
The increases affect our budget. The grant portion, there are federal dollars that Corvallis Transit receives that helps offset the cost of transit services to Corvallis and Philomath. So we get our proportional benefit of that, they get a proportional benefit of that. This is kind of outside of those costs. So this is after they've accounted for the grant money, we still pay
$3,000
allocation.
About, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the like 200,000 that is in the budget we just adopted, did that account for these increased rates?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I think that was one of the conversations that came up during the budget committee. How come the bus fees have gotten more?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was like accurate to these specific, okay.
And,
Yes, please.
and when we're studying how much ridership there is, I can't imagine there being such a limit of Corvallis bus services that they would get on in Corvallis and drive all the way through Philomath to get somewhere. Is there really such a need to do that? I would just be curious to hear. Yes.
Anecdotally, when I've sometimes ridden the bus, what it usually is just, there'll be like some OSU student who wants to get from campus to their house, and the Philomath connection follows the same, no, their house in Corvallis. And the Philomath connection follows the same route as a Corvallis bus that goes there as well. It's just the Philomath connection is coming 5 minutes earlier, so they get on that instead and ride 3 stops and then get off at their house. Whereas they would have just ridden a Corvallis bus, but our bus, just the way the timetables worked out, came a little earlier.
But they're not riding all the way through.
No, it's
Corvallis
usually
to
like they get on in
that's-
Corvallis and get off in Corvallis. They're not joyriding around.
We do cover a portion of Western that Corvallis routes don't have, like we're the only bus that goes down Western, a portion of Western. And then it goes from campus to downtown and downtown to campus. So there's definitely ridership that is only within Corvallis. I just don't know the percentage and we haven't delved that deep yet to see what that is. But I would argue even somebody getting on a bus in Corvallis and coming out to Philomath,
Yes.
should Philomath be paying for that or should be Corvallis paying for that as opposed to from Philomath to Corvallis? So we just need to look at the numbers better, see what that ridership is. But looking at just the number of stops, when we've got 18 stops in Philomath and there's, I think it was 32 stops in Corvallis. So when you just look at number of stops, it's like 2/3 of the stops are in Corvallis, 1/3's in Philomath. And yes, they're getting the grants for us and they're administrating and all of that. And what I've kind of said a little off the cuff is, when the bus was only costing $30,000 a year, it made sense to kind of pick up and pay a little bit extra for the administration and oversight and all of that they were doing made sense. But now that we're talking at $200,000 a year, it's like, that's really expensive administrative oversight, right? So if the ridership is not minimal from the Corvallis side, if it's minimal, then it's minimal, right? And Philomath should be paying a majority. But even if it was 50-50, and that's quite a bit of gratuity that we're paying for a 50-50 service that we're paying almost 100% of the cost on. So
That's what I'm trying to do.
2 things. One, they also will need to update their maps online because I'm pretty sure I remember it being blurry and it is. But anyway, the other thing was how do they collect their ridership data? Because I think that's really important because I think we're when we've talked about it, I've assumed it's one way, but then other people have talked about it that makes it seem like there are other ways that they're being counted. And so how we receive the data might also be different from what we've been talking about. So do you know how they take that data or I guess, can we get that information as we receive it? Does say.
I don't know, and probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. We haven't got that far.
Okay.
That's why I need some time.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's totally cool. I just am thinking about our monthly or the meeting, the ridership data and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like, well, that how many people got on in that period of time? In what location? Like, does that matter?
Yeah, and I know there's a little, I know we're getting a little off, but just, I know like larger transit systems will do studies sometimes where they'll actually put like a staff person at the front door and a staff person at the back door, which doesn't, I mean, ours are fareless, so I guess it doesn't matter as much, but like, and they hand you like they actually hand you like a card when you get on that says like A, and then there's someone at the back door, and when you get off, they take the A card back, so then they keep track of like what stop was the A card taken, and at what stop was the A card given back, and then they can track each trip that everyone took, so they know exactly kind of what, you know, if there's 20 cards that get on at one stop and all get off at the next stop, it's like, oh wow, and then there's like only 2 elsewhere. Now, it looks like there's 22 people riding the bus, but they're really only going, you know, between 2 stops kind of thing. Yeah, Counselor Crocker.
I know there was some discussion and some push for the Paloma bus to stop at Minnesota 50, and it was denied by Corvallis Transfer, yeah. And do we know why? Was it just not a clear spot, or was there more to it than that?
It was mostly due to safety concerns of that space and that stop area.
Yeah.
That was the primary driver. Some of it was scheduling that affected Corvallis, but not Philomath as much. It was mostly the safety of the stop there.
It seems like if they go on Country Club Road, I mean, it's not that far out the road away for wherever they're going,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
I just know half of the people, no, let me be real, it might be a third to a half of the people that attend there are Philomath residents. And I've heard many say, I wish there was a bus that would come here, so.
Yeah, we've just started looking at costs of making improvements there and what that would be. It's also a Benton County road, so it's Benton County and Corvallis kind of ganged up on that one, and both said it's just not a safe spot, because it's not just the 10 o'clock in the morning or the 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's the 5:30, the 6:30 at night when it's dark, and you know, so they're taking all year round and early morning and evening into account, and it is dark there, and no shoulder on the road,
No.
no lit crossing, no anything. So I think if you had the right improvements there, it would definitely make it dramatically safer. But until those improvements get made and get, you know, so now you're talking about improvements on a county road, so the county's got to approve them. Where's the money coming from? So they just ran into some obstacles.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Is there a motion? Do we have a recommended motion?
You gotta make it up on the.
Okay, I move to approve the amendment number 2 to the transit contract with Corvallis as noted. Well, but with the change from Philomath Express to Philomath Connection. So as changed. Okay, it's been moved by Mayor McMorrin, seconded by Councilor Salsa to approve amendment number 2 to the transit contract with Corvallis as noted. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye. And that's approved unanimously. Thank you very much.
And my apologies for not getting to you sooner. I didn't think it'd be ready today. And then I had it ready today, so. We're in luck. We have a meeting tonight, so.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, we are moving to ordinances and resolutions, starting with ordinance 894, Ramsey Alley vacation. This is our second reading, just the same exact thing we voted on last time. But since it wasn't unanimous, back tonight. I don't know.
I can tell you one.
I remember.
Somebody with the.
Okay, shall we do a roll call vote?
We can do a reading of
Oh, thank you,
title
title.
only, and then we can do a roll call.
All right, city reporter, this is your big moment.
Please read here.
Listen up.
An ordinance vacating a portion of a 13.67-foot wide alley between lots 55 and 56, block 12, city of Philomath, and reserving any necessary easements located in the city of Philomath, Benton County, Oregon.
Ordinance
Ordinance
894.
894.
Ordinance 894.
Great. Do we have to do another one? Okay, great. Now with that, can the city recorder, do a roll call vote?
Teresa Nielsen,
Yes.
Jessica Andrade,
Yes.
Diane Crocker,
Yes.
Spencer Irwin,
Yes.
Frank Caseman,
Yes.
Rich Salsa,
Yes.
Christopher McMorrin.
All right. Ordinance 894 is passed 6-1. Next up, we have resolution 26-20, ratifying our collective bargaining agreement between the city of Philomath and AFSCME Local 3543 Council 75 represented employees. Chelsea, do you want to give us a little overview?
Yes, I won't give you too much. Every 3 years, that's what our contract lengths have been for. So we have negotiated a successor agreement with our AFSCME represented employees who are in the Public Works Department. I did do a highlight of summaries here. Those are the most substantial changes that you'll see in the agreement, which is attached. We did some language cleanup, clarifications, an addition of a half day of holiday pay that's been causing some operational, I don't want to say issues, but some operational things annually. The cost increases that we have negotiated are 2.8% this year, which is what you'll see on the next agenda item as well, and then a 3% and 3%, which will keep our pay schedule, should keep our pay schedule on track. So we should be in the next time we're negotiating. We have updated some incentive fees to be more consistent with the market, and also to try to incentivize some employees to start getting some certifications that some of our managers have had that are going to at some point retire. So we're trying to look ahead for that for succession planning. And yeah, that's primarily the changes that we've made. As you'll see, there are not a lot of huge substantial changes, which is good. It means that our contract has been operating well and that we have just stayed on track with keeping up on our language changes over the years.
Thank you very much. Councilor Crocker?
On page 43, it talks about bi-monthly accrual hours, and I looked that up because I wasn't sure whether that was twice a month or every other month, and the dictionary says it's a very ambiguous statement that it can mean both. It can mean either or, so I would encourage that we perhaps change that to twice a month or every other month, however you want that intended.
I can suggest that at this point. They have tentatively agreed to this language that's in here, so I will have to go back to them.
What do they mean? Is it twice a month?
It is twice a month, yes, and by monthly accrual, I did run it by payroll. It did come from the attorney. So the attorney and AFSCME, that was language that they were familiar with for contracts. And so I did run it by Mike as well. We had this question earlier, that it does semi-monthly and bi-monthly when it comes to payroll related terms are the same terminology. Yep.
I hear the concern. I think as long as everyone knows what we're talking about.
Right.
Sure. But I did look it up and it said.
Yeah, no, I,
Either or.
This is the colloquial version as opposed to the jargon.
Right, and the intent is there, we bargain with intent and we have discussions. The intent is there for someone to come back and say something. At this point, we did negotiate this and we did discuss it with them, and the language is there. If it became an issue, we would look at having an MOU temporarily between outfits.
If there's ever any question, you just look at the days per year and do the math, right? So
Right,
if it was
11 days per year? I don't.
by monthly accrual,
it equates to 11 days per
3.7
year.
equals the same as 11.10 days per year.
of vacation time.
Okay. I don't know how that math works.
3.7 times 24.
Oh,
Three
now I see.
is, yeah.
So there's a clarifier there, I guess. I would- If anybody were to challenge it, we would bust out a calculator. Shows how twice, so shows how every other month gets you to 11.10 days per week year.
So 5 years, 5 times 12 is.
24 divided by 8.
And I would be more concerned if it were the other way around. I'm not concerned that that it could be interpreted as every other month that they would get that. That's less accrual for the city, so. But noted, I do note that didn't come up.
Yeah, well,
Of course.
Yeah.
It's just ambiguous, yeah.
I just have 2 questions. The first on page 44, separation of employment. Do we have a cap? I know we talked a little about during budget round, payout caps. I wasn't clear to me from this. Do they just get any amount accrued or have a cap for payouts?
We do in our employee handbook.
Okay, so this is just following that.
Yeah, yes, well, this is just specifically about the 6 months and like the specific payouts are, if it's not noted in here specifically, it is in our employee handbook, we
Okay.
refer to that.
Okay, thank you. And then the addition of the full day on Christmas Eve, is that is that consistent with other employees, or is that gonna create?
We will likely carry that over to the non-represented.
Okay,
Police have a different way that
Right,
they
of course,
negotiate
yeah.
holidays, but they may bring up the additional half of a day of hours, that could come up. But it would be, yes, I think the intention is that the way that we operate is that we try not to keep employees from spending that time with their family. And so a lot of employees do request to take the time off, but it's led to some operational issues where you'll have a lone employee that says, I don't want to take the time off. And then what do you do with the lone employee? You don't have a manager to supervise. It's just been complex for us, so we were not too terribly against adding that. I think a lot of employees are already taking that day off, so.
It does put us in line with other cities as well, 11 holidays.
Or like a floater
is pretty
holiday,
consistent.
right?
It'll be floater, it'll be your birthday or whatever.
We just acknowledge it as
So
that
we'll just-
full day.
and you feel like they would rather have that day than?
That's what they bargained, so they didn't ask for a full day. So,
Any other questions? Okay. Is there a motion? Counselor Salsa?
I move to approve resolution 26-20 ratifying a collective bargaining agreement between the city of Philomath and Ascot local 3543, council 75 represented employees.
And I'll second that. Great work. So it's been moved by Counselor Salsa, seconded by Mayor McMorrin to approve resolution 26-20, ratifying our collective bargaining agreement with our AFNI employees. Yes, please.
Just a comment, this is the first year I've not sat down and done negotiations. Chelsea and the attorney have taken the head on this. I just want to commend Chelsea for her good work. These aren't easy to do, and she's done an awesome job. And again, I think it's just a tribute to not only sitting down and negotiating, going through that process, but just the relationships that we have between the management and our employees.
Yeah.
Is solid right now. Not that there aren't issues that come up, but we talk through them, we go through it, we don't use the contract as a weapon, right? We use it to get clarity, to be, specific upfront, so we set expectations. And again, Chelsea just embodies that. She's got a great relationship with Public Works and the employees, and she was the right person to be negotiating this. So anyway, she does a great job. I want to acknowledge that.
Someone who has been on both sides of the negotiation table, well done.
Yes, thank you very much, Chelsea, for shepherding this. And also, thank you to our Public Works staff for all the work they do. And I'm glad they feel good about this. It makes me reflect on our celebration earlier this year for an employee who'd been here 30 years. And I think I'm glad we can offer those types of careers to people. So this is a very meaningful thing. Any other discussion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye. Resolution 26-20 is adopted unanimously. Next up, last but not least, first, I'm going to request consent to extend the meeting until 9:40. Okay. Then we will move on to resolution 26-21, adoption of non-represented and management position pay schedules and COLA for fiscal year 2026-2027. Flip through all this. Chelsea, is this a you thing again?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I did, there were a lot of questions that came up during the budget review committee process about how we do our salary surveys and compensation comparisons and how we got our salary structure. So I did take a little bit of time. You did find some answers throughout the budget committee process as well. Some of these answers are directly from those answers because they were asked. But I did try to give a history here on the council's direction in 2021 to have a pretty comprehensive third-party review of the city's compensation and pay equity, benefits, salaries, all those subjects. And we ended up with a pay grade structure that was adopted and some pay policies and practices that are help guide us on how to keep positions within that structure, not have compression, ensure that we don't have pay equity issues between positions, or if we add positions, where we're placing them. And it has been very, very helpful for the city to have that structure. And so for this year, because we were doing compensation comparisons for the unions, we also collected information for the other positions in the city. I have included a summary page on page 65 of those positions and comparisons. I've also made some notes in the agenda item summary on, I think it's 3 positions that fell outside of that 10% above or below target, which is our general pay practice that helps us keep, like I said, the positions in, helps us keep the positions in with without compression. So you'll see there are a few that are outliers. We do have explanations for those. The GIS technician was one that came up during the study with HR Answers. And it is a difficult position. We have, we were contracting out with the Council of Governments. We do have an employee who moved on from the Council of Governments that's working here. It's a 10-hour-a-week position. So that is what is competitive. It's just that in comparison, we're going to pay that one way or another. You either pay it by contracting out, or you pay it by having someone who comes in-house and can work with our staff directly. The other 2, which have been mentioned in previous discussions, are the police sergeant positions, which are showing 13% under, and then the police chief position, The sergeants, we have looked to correct that by 5% this year. So that is reflected in this grade structure that you'll see attached for positions. And then the police chief, we have a practice of keeping our directors at the same pay grade. That's just something that's been going on for years. We're not concerned particularly about that right now. There are a lot of nuances with the police chief position on what exactly a police chief is doing from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So we do still feel like that is well within range for our operations here in Philomath. And so there is a resolution attached with the, it doesn't have the full grade structure, but the grade structure is within, these are within the full grade structure, which is 36 grades. And I did not think that you needed to see that entire thing. But these are the positions that we currently have. I did make a note that we have a couple positions that we keep on our grade structure, but are not currently filled or budgeted for the next fiscal year. And welcome, any questions?
Just to make sure I'm understanding this right, so the only change is sergeants apart from COLA.
Yes, so the only change is that the sergeants moved up a 5% pay grade, so that position moved up, and then there's the cost of living of 2.8%.
So no other positions had.
Correct.
Okay. I just have a couple like weird questions.
Sure.
I'm just curious about the municipal judge only having a step 7. I know that's practically fine. I just
Right.
feels weird to only have one step for that position.
Sure, it's because that position has been around for a long time, and we did discuss this, there's a whole lot, there's the old agreements, old documents on how we got the judge and what we signed, and so that is just the rate because he's been here for almost 20 years, actually. I just noted that he's coming up on 18 years. So we just we don't have other judges that we hire. We're not having a turnover. That's just.
I guess I'm like, does that get updated or, because it's just,
I believe his contract is that he gets an annual COLA that the non-represented group gets. So that's how it gets updated. It just gets updated with the COLA.
Okay, so there hasn't been anything besides a COLA.
Correct,
Okay.
so.
When he retires at some point, we'll look out and more than likely we'll end up having to do a contracted services for a judge. That's more common. Maybe we'll find a judge that wants to take a salary, but not likely. It'll probably be contracted. And anytime you're doing that, you're paying a little bit of a premium for that. So we feel good with the number and we don't really want to monkey with it because we feel like we're still getting a really good deal right now. We were one of the first places that Judge Blake kind of cut his teeth on coming to Philomath, and since then he's been able to grow that, and now that's primarily all he does. He's a traveling judge and does a great job, and so I think we get some of the benefit of that initial experience he got with us. So we could easily backfill this, but
Sure.
Not necessarily.
And then this is like just a minor thing. Sorry, I'm almost done.
Go ahead.
I'm just curious, I was curious why there were only 5 comps for city manager, given that I feel like every city has a city manager or a city administrator or some, especially since there were like plenty of comps for the other department heads.
Sure. It's difficult to get comps for city managers on the listserv. We talk about how difficult it is to get comps for city managers. It just is, and they have so many varying levels of ways that they're compensated that these fit well. They fit with our structure well in the way that our city manager is compensated. So we just felt like that was a good grouping, but you'll see there are other positions too, planning and permit technician, accounting specialist, GIS technician, so it
Sure.
varies.
I just wasn't sure, like, because I was like, oh, maybe those other cities don't have a, planning and permit technician, but I know they have a city manager.
Right.
But yeah.
It doesn't matter looking at the contracts that are similar. It's not uncommon it's not unheard of for some city managers to want more money going towards like a deferred compensation package and less for salary. So the salary will look very
Right.
low, and then you dig into it, it's like, well, yeah, they're getting like 25% deferred comp, or others, you know, may get like a vehicle allowance and a cell phone and all these other provisions. And so the salary again looks a little bit lower than it would be, but when you add in all the benefits, it just gets really hard to
Right.
know apples and oranges. So
And it's not that it's not doable, it's just that when we do these, we're not pulling out every, I mean, we do that for our bargained positions because we really have to get very specific on those, especially for police. City, you know, these positions we're generally just doing, we're comparing job descriptions, you know, things like that.
Thank you. Mr. Crocker?
I just have a question to understand. Police administrative specialist, I think I know who that is, but then there's administrative assistant, and I'm not sure who or what position that is.
In police, are you asking, which position are you asking about?
Administrative assistant?
We,
Page 60.
yeah, we have an administrative assistant at Public Works. That position has actually moved to the bargaining unit. But we do occasionally have also kind of like temp administrative assistant people that will come in on a temporary basis if we have someone who's.
But it's not somebody currently in our building. That's what I was trying
Correct, yeah,
to
so,
figure out what in the world that
no,
was.
which is why, right, which is why that
It's
position is
italicized.
in italics.
Thank you.
We don't currently have it filled.
Any other questions? Seeing none would, we already have it. Oh, yeah, we haven't done a motion. So, yeah, yes, please. Yeah, let's keep it going.
I move to approve resolution 26-20, adopting a pay schedule for non-represented and management positions, which includes a 2.8% cost of living adjustment effective July 1, 2026.
Is there a second? I'm gonna go with Counselor Crocker as a second, so Counselor Salsa has moved to adopt resolution 2621, and Counselor Crocker has seconded. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye. Resolution 26-21 is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. That is the last item of business for today. Any good in the order before we head out?
The,
Closes at the end of the month. All right, well, we will see you all then on July.
13th?
Yes.
13th, I think.
Yeah, we'll see you all on July 13th. And yeah. Thank you all. I know that a lot of work went into all the things we voted on tonight, so I'm glad we're done. And have a lovely rest of your evening since there's so much left. I'm gonna adjourn this meeting at